Okay, this video is going to show you how to construct a line of reflection. For example, like on this picture here of the Taj Mahal, there's a nice symmetrical look at it. I hope your eye can see, if you were to draw a line straight down the middle of this picture, that would be like a reflection. We could fold, the left side to map onto the right side, but mathematically speaking, it means that there's pairs of points. So I have 2 points here, but there's an infinite pair of points where, like if I were to move this point and highlight, say, the top of this little tower pillar thing here, and try to identify where its reflection would be, which I would imagine would be on this point right here. So there's a pair of points that I'm thinking are reflections of each other. So there must be a line, which we think, or I'm looking at here, being right down the middle here, right? That would be the line of reflection. But let's geometrically, let's construct that using our properties of geometry. So let's do that construction, and I'm going to lead you through on GeoGebra here how we do that. Okay, so let's construct this line of reflection, and then we're going to check for accuracy, meaning we're going to find some other pairs of reflection points using our line of reflection now, and just show some properties of the equidistant and the perpendicular to verify that we have a good line of reflection. Okay, so just like in our construction steps from the previous video, what I'm going to do with these 2 points is put them in their reflected positions, and then I'm going to grab my segment tool, this third toolbox here. Notice every toolbox, by the way, has these little arrows that point down. So if you click on an arrow, it just gives you more tools that are in that toolbox. Well, this third one here is what I call the line toolbox. It has everything about lines, parts of lines, which we call segments, rays, which are just lines, but kind of like half of a line goes from a point and then continues on in a direction. Vectors, which we'll be using a lot in this class. We'll be using vectors that are like lines too. They're just rays, but they have a purpose. So we're going to grab the segment tool, and because my points are this green color, I'm going to just use these properties here to change my segment, because I have it highlighted here. I can change its color, so I want it to be the same color. I'm going to choose this green, and I want it to kind of stick out a little bit. So this little line drop box here allows us to change the thickness if we move the slider over. So I'll make it maybe this thick. If I don't like it, I can always come back and change it. But I'm going to keep it solid. And now, to use the segment tool, I'm just going to click on one of the endpoints of the segment, and now GeoGebra is waiting for me to click on the other one. So I'm going to go over to D and click on it, and it creates my green segment here. So that's actually kind of nice. It's showing some symmetry still. I think that line of reflection will go right down the middle of that and be perpendicular. So now let's actually construct it. Okay, so just like in our in the video before where I showed you how to construct the line of reflection, we need to make a circle. So over in this toolbox here with the circle on it, notice as you highlight on the tool, it'll tell you what it's called. Depending on what version 2 of GeoGebra you have, your tools might be different. They change the labels, but they're the same thing really. So I'm going to grab my circle with center through point. Okay, so I'm going to grab that tool. I'm going to make it green too, just keep it all in the same color here. So I'm going to change my circle to be green. So now when I use my circle tool, I need to tell GeoGebra where I want to center my circle at. So I'm going to click on point C. Okay, so when I click on point C, I am now telling GeoGebra, okay, let's make a circle. Oh, it's not green, but sorry, my phone is ringing. Apologize. Anyways, my circle's not green, but I can change that color when I make it here. So all I'm going to do, just to make sure that I create a good line of reflection, is I'm going to center a C, and I'm going to click on D. That's going to be my point on the circle. So what that does is, if you think about it, that makes this green segment. Then when I click on D to be on my circle, that's really the radius of the circle, right? So when I click on D, oh, there's my green circle. Alright, now I'm just going to repeat that process because we need to create those 2 circles of equal radius. So now I'm going to click on D to be the center of another circle. And now I'm just going to go click on C again, because that just makes that segment CD the radius of both circles. So I'm guaranteed that those will be the exact same radius, therefore congruent circles for my construction. So now we need to find the intersection point of these two circles, but if yours is like mine, those intersection points are way off the screen. These are pretty big circles. So I'm going to go over to this toolbox. This is how I can move my graphics around, what you see. So I'm going to click the down arrow and I'm going to click on zoom out. So if I click on zoom out a few times here, I can kind of see my circles. There they are. So now I can see the intersection point. So I'm going to grab my line tool. So this is our segment tool here. I want the line tool, so I'm going to click the down arrow, line through 2 points, or line tool. Okay. Now all I have to do is click on the two intersection points. So I'm going to click on where these circles intersect here, and I'm going to click on where these two intersect here. So now I got my nice line of reflection constructed. And I want to zoom back in here just so that I can get my picture big. So now I'm going to go grab my zoom in tool and just kind of zoom back into where I was now that I got my line of reflection. If I want to move this screen around, I'm going to grab my move graphics view tool and then create this little hand, and then we can click and just drag our screen around. So there's our picture again. We now have a constructed line of reflection. Okay, just really quick, let's just verify that it's a good line of reflection. To do that, let's just grab another pair of pre-image and image points. Some point, I'm going to grab my point tool, and I'm going to change the color of this one. Maybe I'm going to make I think red will stand out good. So I'm going to grab red. It's going to be that same thickness right now of these points, and I'm good with that. So now I'm going to go maybe on this right side of the picture and pick a point like maybe right in the middle of this tower here. Okay, well, instead of actually clicking on this point here that I think is a reflection point, now that I actually have a line of reflection made, I can reflect this point over the line and have GeoGebra do that for us. So let's do that. I'm going to grab my move tool. This is just our cursor tool so we can select objects. Okay, this toolbox right here is called the reflection tool, or reflect object about line tool. I'm going to click on that, and actually just to show you, if you hit the down arrow, you'll see all of our transformations that we're going to be talking about. These are nice tools that we can use in GeoGebra. So we're going to reflect over a line, so I'm going to grab that tool here. All we have to think about when we click and use tools, we have to tell GeoGebra what we want to reflect first. Okay, so the only thing I really want to reflect is this point G. So I'm going to just click on G. So now that it's highlighted, GeoGebra knows that's what we're going to reflect. So then I just need to click on what I want to reflect over, which is this line right here. So now when I click on the line, I get my point to reflect, and notice it has that prime notation too. So it just reinforces our geometric labeling. But there's the reflection point. Okay, and it's pretty close to where that one is. It's off a little bit. But if I want to get a little better, maybe I can kind of move these points around, the C and D. So if I move C a little bit, it'll affect my reflection point, and maybe that looks pretty good. Okay, so now let's go ahead and just prove the properties here. Show that that G prime and G are the same distance, or equidistant, from the line of reflection, and that it's perpendicular. Okay, so I'm going to grab my segment tool so I can visually see that distance between these 2 points. I'm going to make sure that it's red. Okay, so now I'm just going to click on G prime, click on G. There's my segment. Okay, so now what I need to do to show that this half is equal to this half with numbers to measure it, we need this intersection point right here. So whenever we need points, we just grab our point tool. I don't really care what color it is. I'm just going to click on it, and there's my point here. So now I can show this distance here. So to do that, I'm going to grab in this toolbox up here. If you click the down arrow, you can see the angle tool. This is what we call the measurement toolbox. I'm going to grab the distance or length tool, and that'll help us measure the distance between these 2 points. So what I'm going to do is click on G prime and then H, and what that does is tell us the distance between these 2 points that I'm selecting. So the distance between G prime and H is at 4.38 units, whatever that means. But to show equal length or congruent length, equidistant, I'm just going to click on H and then G to show the distance between those 2 points, and notice they are the exact same thing. Okay, so we have the equidistant going on, and let's show 90 degrees. Okay, so what we need to use is our angle tool. We want to measure an angle. So back to our measurement toolbox, I'm going to grab my angle tool here. Okay, now when we do an angle, we need to know 3 points. If I want to measure, say, this angle right here, show it's 90 degrees. It doesn't really matter which one. Maybe we want to show one of these is 90 degrees. Doesn't matter. But I'm going to show this one up here. We need 3 points. I need to show the angle G, my point H, and then I need to click on another point to tell where the angle is. So maybe this intersection point, or put a point on this line. So I'm going to need one more point. So I'm going to grab my point tool, and I'm just going to make a point and just put it on there. So now I can grab my angle tool, and I'm going to click on G, and I'm going to click on H, and then I'm going to click on I, and notice we get that nice square symbol which shows perpendicular and 90 degrees. So we just showed that given that line of reflection, those 2 points are reflections of each other. So we have a nice solid line of reflection. So sorry if I went fast on that, guys. I don't want these videos to be too long. So anyways, if you need to go back and do steps, please do so.